Hi, I'm Charlotte, and today I'm going to read you Paddington Minds the House. One morning, Mrs. Brown and Mrs. Bird went out for the day and left Paddington to look after the house. "I shall wash up all the breakfast things while you are gone," he said, "and then if I have any time left over, I may do some spring cleaning." "Oh dear," said Mrs. Brown, "I don't like the sound of that." As soon as the others had gone, Paddington set to work. He washed all of the breakfast cups and saucers and plates and put them in a rack to dry. Then he did the dusting, and after that he washed the dusters and towels and hung them up to dry. When he had finished hanging up the dusters and towels, he started making a special chocolate cake as a surprise for Mrs. Brown and Mrs. Bird when they got back. Paddington liked cooking. He was soon busy mixing flour and cocoa and sugar and milk together in a large bowl. It wasn't until he put his paw into the mixture to make sure it tasted as it should that he saw he had made a mess with the flour and cocoa. Worse still, the floor felt crunchy under his feet where he had spilt some sugar. So he got the vacuum cleaner out, and that was when his troubles started. In his haste to tidy the kitchen, he put the hose on the wrong end of the cleaner by mistake. And instead of sucking, it blew. Paddington staggered back as all the old dust came out and rose into the air like a big black cloud. It landed everywhere, on the clean cups and the saucers and plates, over the dusters and towels he had hung up to dry, over the table and chairs and the floor. Even it landed on the cake mix. Paddington decided it was a good thing he was making a chocolate cake. At least it wouldn't show the dirt. Paddington started to work all over again. He washed the breakfast things, then he washed the dusters and towels and hung them up to dry. And because the dusters were now wet, he thought he would use a vacuum cleaner to get rid of the dust. This time he made sure the tube was on the right end. Using the vacuum cleaner was much more fun, and Paddington spent some time trying to write his name in the dust on top of the table. It wasn't until he got as far as the letter D that he noticed the mixing bowl was now empty. He stared at the end of the hose, wondering what to do next. Paddington wasn't the sort of bear to be beaten, and looking at the end of the hose pipe gave him an idea. What had happened once could happen again. He put the hose back on the wrong end of the cleaner and then stood back waiting to see if the cake mix would get blown out. For a second or two, nothing came out, and he was about to poke a spoon down inside to see if that would help, when there was a loud rushing noise. One moment the kitchen was clean and shiny as a new pen. The next moment it looked as if it had been raining chocolate. Paddington gazed unhappily around the room. It was in a worse state than before. In fact, he couldn't remember ever having seen such a mess. He gave a deep sigh, and for the third time that day he set to work. He washed the breakfast things, then he washed the dusters and the towels and hung them up to dry. Then he scrubbed the floor and washed the walls and polished the table and chairs until it all looked as good as new. In fact, he cleaned everything except himself. But by then it was too late, for there was a ring at the front doorbell. "Paddington," cried Mrs. Brown, "whatever have you been up to? Are you all right? You're covered in spots." "Brown ones," said Mrs. Bird. Paddington looked at himself in the hall mirror and saw for the first time what the mess he was in. "I think I must have had a bad attack of spring cleaning fever, Mrs. Bird," he said. Mrs. Bird hurried into the kitchen, but she had to admit she had never seen it looking quite so clean. And if she wondered why Paddington had spots on his duffel coat as well as on his whiskers, she didn't say anything. "I think," she said, "you had better go upstairs and have a nice hot bath." Paddington thought that was a very good idea. He felt tired after all his hard work afterwards. When he was safely tucked up in bed, Mrs. Brown brought him supper on a tray. "You're looking better already," she said. "The rest must be doing you good." "It isn't so much spring cleaning that brings you out spots," Mrs. Brown said Paddington. "It's all the clearing up you have to do afterwards." The end. And there's a picture of him eating his chocolate cake. You think it's a bit dusty from all the dust that came out the vacuum cleaner? Hope you enjoyed my story. Bye.